Hello, everybody. I am your host, Sheekha Singh, and you are listening to another episode of the podcast Rise and Tell with Sheekha. I am so pumped because I just got off of recording a podcast episode with this amazing guest. I cannot wait for you to know her more, her ideas, her thoughts, her self-growth and self-inspiring stories and situations because she's awesome. Our guest for today is Ambreen Khan. Ambreen is an IT consultant by day and a writer by night. Ambreen is a firecracker from Karachi, Pakistan. She grew up in Pakistan, moved to Canada for her university, and now lives in Victoria, BC with her husband and her daughter. Ambreen published her first book, Love Squared, and it's on Amazon right now. Go check it out if you haven't already. She is obsessed with writing and with the storytelling magic. She is inspired by Imtiaz Ali's movies, Panchayat, The Office, This Is Us, and she aspires to be a writer that writes about different emotions, the raw feeling, the beauty, and the depth of capturing human experience. She not just talks about the self-growth or self-inspiring or the success mindset things, but she's like, oh, you know how they say you have to talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend? She's actually done it. When you ask someone about their future goals, you typically expect they will tell you, oh yes, I would want to publish 5 more books, or I would want to own 10 businesses. But you know what Ambreen said? She said that her goal is to just do nothing and be present. So there you go, everybody. We have with us Ambreen Khan. Welcome, Ambreen. How are you?
I am great. How are you, Sheekha?
Not too bad. Thank you for asking. How has your day been so far?
Well, my day, working, and you might see my 6-year-old in the background.
I do.
So she's home for spring break, so you might just see her head coming in and out as she's doing her thing. Yeah, so I've been working and taking care of her. She's really good now. She's very independent. Oh, you see her there.
Yeah.
So and looking forward to chatting with you.
Awesome. Okay, so let's just dive right in. And I would, Amreen, love for you to tell our guests what or how has your journey been so far?
Journey. Which journey? There have been so many journeys, Sheekha. Which journey?
Whichever you want to discuss about it. Anything's fine. We have all the time in the world.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I guess I could give a little bit of intro about myself. So my name is Ambreen. I grew up in Karachi, Pakistan. I I came to Canada for university, and a bit like you, Sheekha, I did part of my studies back home, part of them here.
Yep.
I graduated from Waterloo, started a career in IT, quite like you.
Yep, exactly.
Got married. My husband is like in a certain line of work where we have to move around a lot. So I've lived in 3 different provinces in Canada for 10 years of our marriage. And right now I'm working as a program manager. So I'm a full-time program manager, full-time plus overtime mom. But I guess part-time dreamer too, because I wrote this book. And now I realize I should have probably had it here with me. Why did I not think of that?
I'll add it. Tell us something about the book, Ambreen. How did you even think about the idea of Love Squared?
I think the first time that I thought about Love Squared was like maybe 2016. I was newly married. It was like a long time ago, and I was just doodling, and I thought, hey, like we have all these stories. We have all this representation in pop culture about like, oh, the girl was with like her boyfriend who left her, who dumps her, and he was a jerk, and then then it's so much easier. Like, and even though that entire movie is made about her overcoming that pain, and then she usually often in a very cliched way, she finds some other guy. Or
Right.
it could be like something like an Eat, Pray, Love, where she finds herself and then she finds a guy. But
Right.
then what happens in instances, because like life isn't how it happens in movies, right? Like,
Right.
many times there are two people perfectly wonderful and they happen together, but then they outgrow each other. They're not good for
Yeah.
each other anymore. And one person realizes it before the other. So this is what this book is about. It's this young woman whose fiance breaks up with her, and they were best friends since they were kids, and her entire life comes apart. Like, that, or that's what it appears to her. That's what it feels like to her. And
Oh,
then, like, how do you get over somebody who was wonderful?
right. Right.
And he's telling you, and then there are things that are genuinely also wrong with you, like, many times we're like, oh, that person was toxic, but what about the toxicity
Okay.
that might have been inside of you? And we all have toxic elements, but does that make us bad? Like, so I just wanted to explore those things, and then it's a bit of like, I wanted to explore quarter life crisis,
Amazing.
what
Good
that's like.
thing.
So yeah.
That's fine. Don't worry. We love it. We love being authentic on the show. So don't even worry about her being in the frame. That's for those who are listening. Ambreen just gave a look because her daughter was in the background while she was giving an answer. Okay, so you had this idea from 2016 in your head, and then it actually came to life this year. I mean, 2024, but released.
It was, yeah. I
Yeah.
started writing in 2020. The pandemic, we were
Mm.
all home baking banana bread.
We were, yes.
Remember that time? It feels like, dude, really, it's 5 years since COVID. I still can't believe it. Like, it's,
Exactly. Banana bread, the coffee,
yeah,
and
the Dalgona coffee, and then
yes,
the
yes,
sourdough obsession was just starting.
yes.
Yeah, so my daughter, she was like a toddler then. I
Oh,
was home with her, and I just thought, we had moved to Victoria, BC, so it had been a year. Um, and I was looking for work. I had done my PMP. I didn't really have a network here.
okay.
So while I was waiting, I'm like, I might as well just, do something with my time. And I just started writing, and then uh, it just continued and continued. I was just having so much fun, so I continued writing, and then it became a book.
Wow, that's so cool. So tell me, what was that point in your life when you knew that this was something you had to do? Like this book had to come out no matter what. What was that point?
So I think there were two books that were the turning point for me. Sounds super
Okay.
dramatic, but one of them was Atomic Habits by James Clear, and then the second one is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Hmm.
And Elizabeth Gilbert, she talked about uh, all of us, like, we're all artists. Talks about how it is ingrained in all of us to be creative and to practice art. And that is as important to us as, like, eating, drinking,
Right.
sleeping. Um, and you create art not for some external validation. You create because of the sheer joy you feel from it. So she gave an example of her friend who was like a middle-aged woman, and she took up ice skating, something that she had left, like she used to do as a child, and then she
Right.
took it up again as a middle-aged woman. And then she would wake up early in the morning, 5 a.m., to go do ice skating before work. And it's not like this was leading towards like a second career, or it was like
Hmm.
a passion that you have to turn into a side hustle. She
Right.
did it out of the sheer joy she experienced from it. So I think that was for me with my writing. Like, I don't claim to be like a great writer, but writing itself, like, just the practice of writing, it gave me so much pleasure that I'm like, I want to continue. And
Right.
uh yeah, so she gave me the courage to write, like, to create mediocre art and
See,
continue
what?
doing
Okay.
it.
So why do you call it mediocre art? I feel the fact that you've published this novel or this book is just amazing because half the people who say I want to write a book don't do it.
Oh, no. Okay, so clarify. I don't think the book is mediocre. I think it's good. Um, uh, but before you get to the final stage, and you would know this, Sheikha, like you wrote yourself, you have to be comfortable writing um like run-on sentences, bad grammar, just like getting your thoughts on paper that would make no sense to
Yeah,
anyone else. So you have to like it's a step-by-step process. The first draft, the first chapter that you write, it's not going to be polished.
correct.
You're going to come back to it and then revise it and change it.
Right.
And it's not like you're getting paid for this work, right?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
have already We have such limited time in our days, and for you to then take out time to do this, to have the comfort to go back and do it again and again, you have to be okay with creating mediocre work in the interim before it gets to a polished stage where you're like, yeah, it's I can share it now with the world.
Right. Right. So true. So that brings me to the question, because I know I've kind of experienced the same thing, but nonfiction tends to be easy than fiction, in my opinion, because nonfiction, you're writing facts and you're bringing in data. But fiction, you have to add emotion and you have to add so many feelings and the plot and reactions, dialogue. There's so much in it. What was the hardest part for you? Because for
um
me, for my book, I felt editing was the hardest. Editing and marketing. I'm like, no ways, no.
the writing was the fun part. At first I thought editing would be like I did not like editing because when you're writing, you're just like I had my playlist and then I had like separate playlists. Like, oh, if I'm writing something happy, this is what I'm listening to. I had like separate playlists for that and I just got myself in the zone and then I would write. But then in the editing, you have to then filter yourself. It's no
Right,
longer just about the emotion. It's you have written all this stuff which might be great, but you have to be comfortable with cutting it out because it's not serving like the plot.
right,
So that was a little hard for me. I don't have any formal training in writing. uh it's a science of its own, like writing
yes,
writing a novel. It's a craft of its own. So I think it takes like a certain level of audacity to do that, oh my god, what I have
mhm,
is worthwhile putting on paper and asking somebody, oh, you should read it, you know?
correct, correct.
Um, and I think I've gone off on a tangent and I've forgotten what
No,
your initial
don't
question
worry about
was.
it. What was the hardest part for you?
Yes.
Which one did you not like the most?
The marketing, putting yourself out there, it's
Yeah,
hard, Chica, because it's just like, you really have to put yourself out of your comfort zone.
it is. It is. That's what
It's
I keep telling everyone. Give me something to write. I'll do it before the deadline. But then after the fact, I suck at marketing. And I don't think I did a very good job with my book, which is why I think next time I'm going to hire someone. But did you get help? If not, I would highly suggest you do that.
I'm highly considering, like, that's what I need to do. Um, but it's just already it's hard. It's
It
hard. Like if you have a full-time job and if you have a child on top of that,
is.
it's but yes, it is on my to-do list that actually hire somebody who knows what they who know their craft, because that's
Yeah.
like a skill set of its own. So
And that's so important though. Okay, so before the podcast, I used to write technical articles. And
okay.
I got into writing technical articles only because someone picked up my book through one of the posts or some ads, and then they read that book and they thought, oh, okay, let me reach out to her. So this beautiful lady, she reached out to me and she's like, hey, you know what, would you be willing to write a technical article for this client? And we it's not going to pay you a lot, but it'll be this one. I'm like, oh, absolutely, sure, let me try one. I haven't done it before. Let me try one and then we'll go from there. And she goes, yeah, you already have the background. You understand the technical details of it. You already know how to write. So let's give it a shot. And that's what started the beginning of technical writing for me. Then it went on and on. And that's when I understood how important marketing is, and that I didn't do a great job. I could have done it, but I didn't. So that's what I keep telling everyone who've published a book or want to publish a book. I'm like, don't neglect marketing. It's going to help you a lot. But I am very curious about something, Ambreen.
Yeah.
You mentioned you started writing this in 2020,
Mhm.
and then you published it in 2024 December, correct?
That's correct.
And even though it took you a long time,
Mhm.
you had your job, you had your baby, you had your family, plus you had moved to a different city. How did you manage everything?
Well, I did not have a social life. So all the friends that I have, they're extremely patient with me. That they knew that there's only so much he's contributing to the relationship,
Right,
but because they were just like they still continue to tolerate me. And then in Victoria, like I had made new friends, but then you have to have like uh, make effort, like try to
right,
meet
right.
each other, and I did not do enough of that. So I spend most of my weekends, most of my evenings, um, just writing. And it's really funny. Like, my husband would ask me, like, in the evening, oh, what are your plans? Are you editing or are you going to be spending time with me? So he knew there's only two things that I
Right,
do.
right.
There's nothing else that I do. My weekends, I'm very grateful to my mom. She took care of my daughter many weekends.
Nice.
Um, and without her, I don't think this book would have been finished even now.
And
You know,
kudos to you though for sticking at it for so long. Like not everyone's fine with letting go of their weekends because that's the only time they get, and but you did it. That's awesome.
but
That's
because I was having so
inspiring.
much fun, Sheikha, like it did
Right.
not feel like a sacrifice. And you know what? I'm actually against just the concept of sacrificing. Because if
Hmm.
you feel like you're sacrificing, it's going to come back and bite you another way.
Right.
Like in our culture, that this concept that, oh, women should be sacrificing. What happens at the end? They grow angry and spiteful and frustrated and resentful. Like, there's this saying that many of us don't like to write, but we like to have been written. We would love to see the
Yes.
finished product, that, oh,
Yes.
that's your book, your name is on it, it's on some, like, some library bookshelf or some bookstore bookshelf. But I can honestly say that even if it did not get fully published, I enjoyed writing it because I think there were themes that I was exploring for myself.
Right.
They were questions that I was exploring for myself. So part of it was cathartic, part of it was like self healing for me. So,
Nice.
yeah.
That's so lovely, Amreen. And you brought up a very good point, so we'll touch on that a little bit because that's my favorite topic. You mentioned how in our culture there's a certain thing that women should be doing things, and this is their job, or why are you doing this, or things like that. Did you face any of those things during your writing journey or your publishing journey? If yes, how did you handle it?
Uh, I don't like. I think I'm very fortunate that I did not. And I think some of it comes back to the shamelessness too,
Yeah.
because uh, one of the things that I did was I finished my first draft actually fairly early, and the first draft was actually twice the size of the book that you see right now.
Really?
Yes, it was. I just like wrote and I wrote and I wrote so I announced it on social media very early on. Hey guys, I wrote this. Well, let's see what happens next. And this is like something that I learned from like a Tim Ferriss podcast, that if you want to achieve something, make it public, because then
Correct.
your ego
Yes,
gets involved.
correct. I agree.
Like people will be asking you, hey, what happened about that? So I think the years 2021 through 2023, those were a little hard for me because people would ask me, what came of that? What happened? What
Right,
stage is it at?
right.
And I would, because I went through, it's funny, I went through writer's block in the editing phase of
I was
my,
actually gonna ask you about it. Yeah.
because I'm like, oh my God, what I've written is trash. Like, what is this? What was I thinking? It's like, when a baby learns to walk or a toddler learns to walk, they don't just get up and start walking. They have to stumble a lot. So
Mm.
I think that's one of the things is that keeps us adults from learning new things. We're
Yeah.
scared of looking silly,
Yeah. True.
right? So
True.
I think in the middle, I went through that stage where I was really hard on myself, really critical. I would look at it and I would get really embarrassed. And then I was like, get annoyed at myself, like, why did I have to announce it to the world?
Yeah.
um but then, like, over time, then I tried to be more kind to myself. Like, how would you like, if this was my daughter, for instance, or a beloved friend who had done this, how would I speak to them? Why can't I speak to myself the same way?
Correct.
And
Interesting. Yeah.
then felt brave enough to come back to it, improve it. I hired a creative writing tutor
Good.
who helped me immensely. I did consider, like, in between, I did consider, oh, should I do like an MFA? Like, put 2 years
Right.
of commitment,
Right.
like, do an MFA in creative writing, learn how to write properly. But then I have a full time job, and not all of us have the luxury to just, oh,
Yeah.
I can just park that and, you know, explore my creative
Right.
side. For I think for most of us, like, unless you're uber privileged, I think for most of us, we have to find ways to, like, fit things in our existing schedule.
That's true.
So,
That's true, which is why you are a guest on this podcast, Ambreen, because it's just people like you who I look up to the most, and our viewers and our listeners love listening to, is because you do everything that normal people do. Like, you have a 9 to 5 job, you have a family, you have, hardships, relationships, so many things on your to-do list, yet you've somehow managed to keep all that aside and then do something that you love. And it clearly shows that you loved writing your book and that you love the whole process of just writing and putting a story out there. So that's why you're here, Ambreen. You deserve it. You know how you said we kind of feel discouraged about it and we give up so soon? I I actually interviewed this author called Jody Wellman on my podcast last year. She's written the book You Only Die Once, and she has a psychology degree. She's also a professor at a university, and she said that based on all the studies, it's actually mostly this trait is seen in women. We are so fast to dismiss things or to talk to ourselves that way because we think, how could we not do it? Or what were you thinking? Or even when it comes to a new job or a new opportunity, we think so much before actually even doing it. So yeah, you were right. You did the right thing in overcoming that writer's block of yours, Amreen. Good job.
and I see that because, like, I think both of us work in IT. We know it's predominantly men, so it takes, like, a certain level of self belief. Like, I won't call it shamelessness anymore, but then, yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? You do see men who have, like, half the level of competence as you, but twice as much confidence. And I'm not even going to blame them, because I'm like, sure, like, if you have that, why not? I should be the one then trying to compensate and feel better about who I am. So I see that, the women I see, like, for instance, I'm part of a leadership team, and it's predominantly men. So it's like maybe 20% women, 80% men.
Yeah.
And what these women have in common is they have a lot more confidence than I see in the average woman.
Right.
Even though these women are so amazing in every way,
Correct.
but it's
Exactly.
because they are, before the world can critique them, they're self critiquing constantly.
Exactly, exactly. And I totally get your point of seeing certain men, not all though, but a few men out there in the industry who lack so many skills but have the job and just fake through it. That gets to me so much, and I'm not okay with it. But you know what? I realized something that it goes against everything that we've been taught so far, be it our culture or even if it's the Western culture. I think it takes a lot for a woman to say, hey, I'm not going to do that job because it's not mine, it's not my job, I'm not doing it, own up to it. or for us to hold someone else accountable when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And this actually happened with me. And I know this is like unrelated and we're talking about
I'm
women
having fun.
empowerment and I love it, but recently on a project, there's this person on my team, and I I have been doing most of his work, and I did not have that mental strength or courage to just gather all my thoughts, feelings, and be like, hey, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. It's not my job. I'm not doing it. And I spoke with a lot of my peers and coworkers, and finally yesterday I did it. We were going through something, and usually in a very casual way, the other person is like, oh yes, let's just go through this and this. I'm like, is there anything specific you need from me? And he goes, no, I'm just going through, certain things here and there. And I go, hey, this is all you. I'm not doing this. If you need anything from my XYZ list of things that I can help you with, let me know. But this is all you and this is all yours. I'm here if you need my support. And he goes, thank you very much. Have a good day. And that felt so great to me. I'm like, if this was, the 5-year-old Sheekha, the 6-year-old Sheekha that was in the industry, I would have done the other person's job and be like, oh, it's okay. I'm glad I could help. Thank you. And then I would be fine even if this person would just, go on and show off all my work. So it takes a lot of time. And like you said, talking to ourselves like you would talk to your friends. Because that's the thought that comes to my mind. If someone from my team would have come up to me with this exact same problem, I would have reacted in a completely different manner. But I couldn't get myself to do that. Anyways, yeah, I love that you implemented that. That shows signs of self growth and that successful mindset that you've built for yourself, Ambreen.
I'm so proud of you for doing that. You must like that must feel so liberating. Like,
Thank you.
drawing that boundary for yourself. I'm so happy you did that.
Thank you so much.
And more women need to do that.
Correct. You are absolutely right. This is something that me and my friend discuss a lot about. Like you said, both of us are in the IT industry and we see a lot of men. But when it comes to certain opportunities and when it comes to certain roles, when you see the amount of applications that you get for a role, obviously, for the sake of time, for the sake of contracts, client deadlines, you would pick the best of the lot. But you wouldn't be biased towards a person just because she's a woman, right? Like if I had 10 applications, out of which 3 were great, 2 of them are men and 1 of them is a woman, I would never choose her just because she's a woman. If I were to choose her, I would go off of her skills, her, if she's a good fit or not, etc., etc. So that's where I keep talking. I'm like, not more women actually apply to these positions or these roles. Like you said, we don't feel we are capable enough. We don't feel like we can do it. And we scrutinize ourselves so much more than actually doing it, than others, even telling us what to do, what not to do. I think that's what needs to change. And I think then we'd be able to see some shift in those numbers. And the other thought also that I have here again is, yes, women need to set boundaries, but also speak up more. We hold ourselves so much just because we think we are going to be labeled at workplace or with friends or with family or with relatives or whatever it is, that some of us at least, I think, are in that different thing altogether in our head. We're like, oh, what are they going to think of me? Or what is she going to think, if I do this? And that's why I think we stop ourselves so much or restrict ourselves. I think that also needs to change. We as women need to start speaking up more at workplaces for what's right, one, second, and for what you deserve. But you cannot, in my opinion, at least I feel, we as women just cannot expect promotions or, job offers or opportunities to just show up at our door without investing in our skills or changing them or upgrading them. Just because we are women, I feel, again, feel free to contradict, but I feel just because we're women and then we've been in the workforce for 10 years, say, doesn't mean I deserve a promotion.
Mhm.
But if I'm really putting in time to upgrade my skills and I'm learning something new, I am doing something more outside of what's expected, and I'm trying to learn new things, and I'm proving, then I feel that I mean, no company would stop you from giving a promotion if you really like deserve it. That's been my experience in the last 11-ish years in the IT industry in North America, at least.
And it's not your job to decide whether you get the promotion. It's another group's altogether. So don't reject yourself.
Correct.
And you don't have to, like, even if the other um humans competing with you for that position, even if they might be more qualified than you, don't use that as a reason to hold yourself back. That's not your job. Don't gaslight yourself.
100%.
But
Yes.
like the way we have grown up, we've constantly raised, like, girls are constantly raised to be accommodating, compensate for, like, it's
Yeah.
why,
Why?
you
Correct.
know?
And I think it's our generation's job to stop that kind of trend that's been going on for so many years. Like, if that's what I keep telling my friends, and I keep telling my younger sister and my family too, if you're not okay with it, don't do it.
Oh,
Like, why? And she goes, oh, but they are our relatives, they are. I'm like, doesn't matter. Are they feeding you?
oh.
Are they paying your rent or your mortgage? No. Then you have no reason to shy away or do something that you don't want to do just out of respect, just so that you can accommodate all of them and their feelings.
Unless it's a project sponsor, he or she doesn't have say on my project.
Exactly.
Unless they're responsible for the project budget, I don't care.
Correct, correct. So thank you for saying that, Ambreen. It felt really good when I did that. So the question I was going to ask you was, you brought up such amazing points and tricks that you used to make sure that you started the book, you finished it, and you published it. So I'm going to ask you, what fuels you? What's your secret?
There's so many. I mean, the human experience has been captured in so many different forms, right? Uh, by so many different people. But for most of them, they had like a certain level of privilege. Like, if I'm born into like a creative family, for me to do that, it's like, yeah, you have, like, my parents have laid out the path for me.
Right.
They have. I can find mentors. I can find help,
Connections.
connections. But I feel like most of what we consume in art is coming from like a very narrow part of society. And we need to expand on that. We have rich people writing about poor people's lives, like book from the perspective of some poor man or woman, and fine, that some of them are done really, really well. But what I would like to know is like somebody who actually lives in the slums, who writes that. That's what I would like to read, not
Right.
to say I live in the slums.
Right.
People
Right.
are going to attack me.
Right.
Um, but I just wanted to capture the human experience as I see it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to cover those topics that are not usually covered. Like, it started off with, oh, what happens? How do you get over someone who is very wonderful? And maybe part of the breakup was your own fault.
Right.
Um, what what kind of connections you might have with, like, a female cousin who's like close in age as you, and your family always, like, pitted you against each other. And then you constantly feel like, oh, I have to be better than her, but then you also love her because she's your sister. And um we have these conflicting things, conflicting values that we grow up with. So, like, how do you make peace with that? So I think what fueled me, and I'm going to speak specifically to my writing. There's other things, like in
Right.
other aspects of my life. um I just wanted to explore that
Right.
from both perspectives, because, like, I have been in positions where, people have told me, oh, look at that girl, she's doing this so much better, why can't you be more like her? And have also been in positions where I've seen, like, other aunties and uncles doing that to their kids,
Right.
comparing me with them, and that didn't feel really great either, because all of a sudden the relationship dynamic changes. why can't we just let kids be kids
True.
and relate with each other? Because like I might be good at school, but she might be better at something else. She might be better at sports, she might be better at public speaking. Like we have pigeonholed ourselves into like, okay, you know what you get in your school grades, that would be the deciding factor of your worth, your value as a human being.
Yeah.
That's just one thing. There are 1,000 other things out there. But um and like, you know what, when we have this kind of a lens of like judging people, we don't let people be themselves, you know?
Correct. True.
So I don't know how articulate I was in
No,
answering that, but
you were awesome. You were so good. And I think again that has to do so much with culture, right? Back then, I think when we were growing up, there wasn't a lot of exposure, or the other fields weren't doing or earning as much as, certain fields. And so our families or our parents growing up were just focused on, okay, go to school, get good marks, excel at your studies, and you're going to be successful in life. Now when I see my relatives or few cousins who have kids, they send them to so many different activities, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't mind even if her grades are not good, as long as she's good at something, we're okay with it. I'm like, wow, where was this when I was growing up? I told my mom I wanted to be a DJ, and she was like, did you look at yourself? And I'm like, fine, okay, I'm going to be a journalist. And she goes, yeah, what are you going to talk about? What do you know about politics? What do you know about current affairs? So, yeah, I think that's changing now, though. I think today, if I went to my mom and if I told her, hey, I want to be a DJ, she'd be like, sure, go try it, see if that works out, and then come back. I'm still going to be here and tell you I told you so.
you know, there's a reason for why our parents want us to choose certain paths. Like, you know, like growing up, it's like doctor, engineer,
Yeah,
lawyer, maybe
yeah.
accountant. It's because our parents don't want for us to pursue greatness. They want us to pursue safety,
True. Yeah.
right? You
Good
want your kid
point.
to be safe. You want to make sure that once I'm not around, that she can pay her bills. She can
Yeah.
take care of herself. What is a DJ like? Does a DJ even earn anything? How will she feed herself?
Correct. Yes.
But and there's also the matter, Sheikha, that for you to do anything creative, you need to have like the basics covered. I don't think I could have been creative if I didn't know how my rent was going to be paid,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
that's why like I do recognize that, you know, I come from a certain privilege where I had the ability to do that. If I was living paycheck to paycheck, if I was like, you know, pinching pennies, I couldn't have been in the frame of mind to do this, to
Exactly.
write what I did.
Exactly. And that goes for everything today also, I feel, Ambreen, the point that you said, to put out a video, to publish a podcast, to even make time to record and then edit, or even Instagram or any social media platform, everything takes so much time.
So much
Plus,
time.
you just don't have to do it, you have to be good at it. It has to be valuable, it has to either entertain, provide value, or something. And there's just so much. And it's, if you have a 9 to 5 job, and I feel like we have so much on a to do list that balancing is the only way that you can go about achieving something. If not, it's just impossible. Like, yes, you would be awesome. Imagine if, Ambreen, you had the last every year from 2016, you didn't have to worry about jobs, or imagine if you were just focused on writing. Like you said, you would have published 10 books by now.
Oh.
and
Yeah,
I,
you know,
and I'm
I sometimes do get annoyed because I and it's again, you know, what they say, you know, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
I see certain people being published and I read their work and they have published so many times and I judge them. I'm like, this is so terrible.
Yeah.
But I see the family this person is from,
Yeah.
you know, especially this is true for like, you know, authors from back home. It's like, you know, it's a lot harder back home than it is here.
Right.
um but then I also see like, oh, what is it that I have, like, you know, the fact that I have the privilege that I work from home, I can take an hour off work and then, you know, just like charge one less hour, and that's totally okay for me. Like that in itself is such a privilege that
Correct.
so many people don't have. So it's hard, but we have to focus on the silver lining.
Correct. What would be that one top suggestion or advice you would give to someone who's in the exact same boat as yours? They have a family, kids, 9 to 5 job, other responsibilities, but they want to write a book or publish a book. What would you tell them?
Is the goal for this person to publish, like, is publishing the book, is that their goal? Or is it being a better writer? Because those are two different things.
We'll go with publishing a book first.
Publishing a book. Okay, if you want to publish a book and you have the means, I would say save up enough money. If you're in Canada, have like 5 to 10,000 Canadian saved that you're willing to invest towards this. Because if you do not have training in writing, like if you don't have like a creative writing background or like a English literature background where you have written extensively, chances are you will need help. You will need professional help.
Right.
So make sure you're able to hire editors, make sure you're able to hire, like, have sessions with like a writing coach who can guide you. Well, that is dealing with the getting the book to completion, like, having a final manuscript in place. I personally, I chose to go with the self-publishing route.
Yep.
Because I did not want to edit myself. Like, I did not want somebody else telling me. I wanted complete creative control over this. And I am in the position where I'm not looking to earn. Like, it would be great if my book sells a lot. If it doesn't really make a difference to me.
Right.
So if you're in similar shoes, then go with the self-publishing route. There are so many resources online.
Right.
You can hire like a book cover designer from Upwork or Fiverr. And then if you have it edited, there are so many resources even on TikTok where people have published a book in like less than $1,000 because they edited themselves. They got a friend to edit it. But if you don't have that background, make sure to hire like good professional help because it's just worth it. It's like I won't go and do my own surgery, right?
Right. Correct. And yes, hiring an editor is so much helpful. Super helpful. Okay, one last question, Ambreen. What's the future looking like for you?
What's the future looking like for me? You know what? Again, coming back to, because I think the theme for this podcast has been like audacity and shamelessness. So I'll just put it out into the world. I would love for my book to turn into a TV show. I would absolutely love that. And I'm saying it first on Sheekha's podcast.
Yes, you're putting it out in the universe, and yes.
I'm putting it out into the universe. It's Ramadan right now, so I'm praying a lot for this to happen.
Yay.
Because I feel like it's such a thick book. It's like 686 pages, so a lot of people are daunted. They're like, how will I read this? But, I'm waiting for the Netflix series, even if it's not a Netflix series. Like, and if, I don't know, Hum TV Pakistan picks it up and they make a drama out of it.
Wow.
I would love that, but this is me just wishing. I don't have any connections to like make this happen. I don't come from such a background that I could make this happen. So just for me personally, I'm just going to focus on not doing anything. I want to just relax and go and walk outside when I want to, and then for the weekend just go and like hike more. And like I live in Victoria, BC, which I think is one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. Like not just Canada, in the entire world. So I just want to be more present in my life. So yeah, that's it. Like I'm not there are goals that I could pursue professionally. I could go and probably the second book would be a lot easier to write since I've done the first one.
Yeah.
But I don't think I want to do that just yet. I think I just want to be.
What a beautiful thought. And what a beautiful goal. I expected you would say, oh, I want to write 5 books or at least publish the next one by certain day. And you're like, I just want to be present. That's wonderful. I don't think I've heard anybody in the last 6 or 7 months say that. Like, yes, I don't want to do anything. I just want to chill. I want to relax and I want to be present. Wow, that's really cool. How many self-help books have you written, Ambreen? No, seriously, I think you'd be great with that because I feel like I got the vibe in this last 45 minutes that you are someone who doesn't just say things but actually does it.
Oh,
So,
you're
yeah,
so
you
good for my ego, Sheikha.
here to cheer you always, always. That is the least that I can do. Awesome. This was amazing, Ambreen. It was so much fun talking to you, and I'm so glad we got this chance to catch up and discuss everything that you had in your mind. And on behalf of all our listeners and viewers, congratulations, Ambreen.
Thank you. Thank you so
You
much.
deserve all the recognition. And I'm so glad that you agreed to be on our podcast. Congratulations on the novel. One day I will call you again when it becomes a series, a famous TV series. And I'll be like, see, you did it. I feel you've already done it and you're awesome. It's a big deal for. I feel like publishing any kind of book, however small or big it is, any kind of book is absolutely a very big deal, and you did it.
It is. It is. And I
Congrats.
see that, you know what? It takes one to know one, right? I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I think it was maybe 4 years ago that
It was.
maybe I started following you and I read your book, and then you talked about how I think your first job was as a developer, but then you weren't
Yes.
enjoying that, so you left that to do
Yep.
something else. And like taking the plunge, like it takes a certain self-belief and courage, and I'm so glad that you have followed through, and that trajectory has continued, and I continue to see that. And I went, like, before the podcast, I went on your, YouTube channel to see. I'm like, oh my god, this is such great content, why am I not seeing this? So I have, like,
Yeah.
I've put it all on my, saved list to watch, so looking forward to it, Chica.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ambreen. Any last tips that you want to give to our listeners or viewers? Any last thoughts?
Okay. I think one thing that is helping me in wanting to just stay present and be content with what I have instead of trying to achieve more, is I think I've started to realize that a lot of us ambitious girls, we tend to be ambitious because we felt like we had to compensate for our presence. We had to be something for us to be accepted. But oh
Yes.
my God, girl, you're enough. You're enough. You're beautiful. You are capable. You're confident. You're intelligent, just as you are right now. So, like, accept yourself, cherish yourself. Because if you don't do that, nobody else is going to do that either. And don't do it because you want somebody else to do it. Be happy in your own skin. And then, there was this reel I was watching that it's not that happiness follows success, it's success that follows happiness. So
Mm.
happiness is the first step.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you, Ambreen. I think I needed that too. I needed to listen that today, and thank you so much. I really hope any of the girls, young girls who are watching this episode, I hope you'll get encouraged and inspired by Ambreen's last thoughts because they're amazing and they're beautiful. I think all of us need to hear it. And again, I know I keep specifying women, but I feel every person, be it man, woman, if you're a brother, sister, husband, friend, whatever, just know that you're enough and be happy and content. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ambreen. I really appreciate you spending your time with me on the podcast. It was so much fun, and we will definitely keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me, Shika.
Thank
The time just
you.
flew.
Exactly, exactly. I know. Thanks. See ya. I really hope you had a lot of fun and you found something useful and awesome after those last thoughts from Ambreen. You know what you have to do. Hit like, comment, and subscribe if you want more amazing content from this podcast. As always, keep growing, keep glowing, and love yourself. This is your host, Shikha Singh, signing off. Bye.